Now at 9, a fire at Daisy Court Apartments in Carthage displaces residents, several treated for smoke inhalation, and one hospitalized.
Broadband expansion is coming to Newton County. I'm Samantha Walker, and coming up, I'll have what that means for residents.
If you've been to the store lately, maybe you know the cost of eggs is getting crazy thanks to bird flu. I'm Jeff Flock at the Green Eggs Cafe in Philadelphia, where we'll have the latest on the shell shock.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
2 people are dead and a third injured in a Missouri homicide investigation that reaches into Arkansas. This is KOAM News at 9. I'm Tanya Bach. And around 1:45 this morning, suspect Taylor Santiago called police in Aurora from the PD parking lot, saying she just killed her estranged husband at her home. Officers took her into custody and went to her apartment where they found Troy Huffman dead. Santiago also disclosed that she had earlier driven to Arkansas and shot 2 additional victims, one of whom was the biological father of one of her children. He is currently listed in serious condition. The other victim, a female, died. Santiago has been charged with first-degree murder in Missouri. She is currently in custody at the Lawrence County Jail. Residents at a Carthage apartment complex find themselves without a home following a morning fire. Emergency crews responded to the Daisy Court Apartments just after 11:30. On scene, responders found smoke from one section of the apartments as people were evacuating, and several people were treated for smoke inhalation. Newton County residents will soon have more access to broadband internet. It's a project the county has been working on for more than 2 years. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on how the County Commission hopes a partnership with Allo Communications will benefit residents.
The Newton County Commission has approved an agreement with Allo Communications to implement a broadband deployment plan. Using nearly $7 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan Act and an investment from Allo, it will create a backbone fiber line. This will allow for increased access to the internet across the most rural parts of the county.
During COVID, when the schools were closing and all that, they were trying to do schoolwork from home. Well, there's a lot of families that didn't have internet even available to them, and we're just trying to get it up.
Allo is currently working on increasing broadband internet in Joplin. That's how Newton County caught the company's eye. In a statement to KOAM, they say, quote, "Through our discussions with the city of Joplin, we identified how critically underserved Newton County is in terms of broadband options. By addressing this critical infrastructure gap, Allo aims to foster economic growth, enhance educational opportunities, and improve access to essential digital services for the community."
You know, in today's world, a lot more people work from home and stuff, and we want that opportunity for people to move to Newton County and still be able to have broadband to where if they do work from home or need the broadband, it's there for their students. I think it's going to be a good deal for all of the citizens in these areas, and I think they'll be excited.
According to the commissioner, the program won't just make it easier for people to connect or maybe work from home, but it will also work to keep them safe.
We are also trying to do some low water bridge flood alert systems, and by having this broadband out there at the areas where we have a flood risk in the county, we're actually going to have monitors that will not only alert us, but it'll also alert traffic to not go that direction.
Allo says the project is currently in the design phase. The company estimates construction to finish by the end of October 2026. Reporting in Newton County, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Allo is also currently working on establishing a fiber network in Joplin. You can find a link to track progress in your community on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty joins us now with a first look at weather.
Well, it turned out to be a cold one once again for us today, but we are going in the right direction. 32 was our high, 18 is where we started out. Should be topping out at about 45, and that's going to be closer to the number that we see during the daytime hours tomorrow. But it's going to be cold tonight, already down to 20. Joplin, Pittsburgh, we have mid-teens in our northern counties. I think most of us will be low to mid-teens later on tonight. The winds have died down a little bit. Of course, this gives you a little bit of a wind chill, but the winds are going to pick up tomorrow, but out of the other direction. Now the south, and that's going to help our temperatures start to warm back up. So cold tonight, But once we get into tomorrow afternoon, we should go into the mid-40s for highs, which is good. A lot of clouds roll in Saturday, but again, back up into the 40s for highs. So we're going to keep that warming trend going. We're going to talk about that here in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Doug. A lawmaker from Christian County wants schools across Missouri to create a policy when it comes to cell phones. Chris Bryan explains the proposed bill and the reasoning behind it.
Representative Jamie Gregg's bill would require school districts in the state to develop a cell phone policy that would prohibit students from using their phones during class time.
The reason for the bill is because in those schools that do have cell phone policies, or even some of those classrooms that do, where the school may not, they notice that the assignment scores go up, the test scores go up, kids are paying more attention. So that's the reason for it, because ultimately what our school's for is to teach our kids and teach them well.
The bill would require a student who brings an electronic telecommunication device into any of the school district's elementary or high school, middle school buildings or on the grounds during regularly scheduled instructional activities to turn it off and properly store it.
I think that every district and many of our members have experienced the frustration with students that are distracted. And there are lots of things that can distract a student in a classroom.
The Missouri State Teachers Association says taking away the distractions leads to more participation in the classroom.
And anytime that distraction is taken away, it leads to more engaging conversation. It leads to more engaging learning in the classroom.
The Clever School District already has a similar policy in place.
Between classes and at lunch, we allow them to be on the phones just to kind of check their messages, check and see what they're missing out on. But for the most part, it's 100% during instructional time. We don't want them out in class. I think it is a benefit. I think students in general, teenagers, and then getting down into the middle school ages and even younger with cell phones, as a general rule, need boundaries.
Representative Gregg says the bill is designed to not mandate how the districts regulate cell phones in schools, but instead requires them to have a policy in place.
Walking through classrooms, seeing our teachers in action, seeing our students in action, when they're truly engaged in what they're doing in the classroom, it makes all the difference in the world.
House Bill 408 has been referred to the House Committee on Elementary and Secondary Education.
Well, for information on other schools banning students from using cell phones, you can visit KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, coming up, robots in the medical field.
Are you ready to page Dr. Robot? It could be closer than you think. I'm Evan Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
And later, egg prices could be soaring in the near future. We'll find out why. Well, students and staff at Fairland School District in Oklahoma will be out of school until next week due to widespread illness. KOAM's Anthony Saviello spoke with the district superintendent about why this decision was made and with a local health expert about how to keep your family safe.
What would be a scene with students on the playground and in class looks more like a ghost town. That's because students and staff are home as the Fairland School District aims to prevent the spread of illness.
I think it's probably best for their district and really everyone, if we get to these numbers, to allow for some distancing and some extra cleaning of the schools to allow this to maybe slow down a little bit.
According to Fairland Superintendent Jerry Johnson, the district is doing just that, with custodial staff disinfecting despite the fact there is no one in school.
It's important to stay home when you're sick, but we also have to keep those that are there that are well, and the only way we can do that is to keep those surfaces good and clean.
What would you recommend as students and parents, and now they're kind of back home, they're eventually going to have to come back to school. So what do teachers need to keep in their mind as they're coming back to school to prevent this from happening again?
As much as we need these students in class to learn, just remembering that if your student is sick or if you are sick as the teacher, just to stay home. That's really the main way we can get this to slow down, is just stop the constant exposure.
Though Fairland experiences more of an impact due to its smaller size, Young says no matter the size, monitoring sickness in school is essential.
A specific school is starting to see more of an isolated rising case. It is always a good idea to maybe break them out for 24 to 48 hours and maybe try to get that individual school more clean, sanitized, and give them a break from the virus spreading.
In the KOAM newsroom, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Well, the Fairland School District is not conducting any virtual learning during this time. The superintendent says the decision has not yet been made about whether school days will be made up later in the year. Research shows a link between ADHD, life expectancy, and mental health. The study shows men with ADHD had a reduction in life expectancy by 4.5 to 9 years, while women's life expectancy was shortened by 6.5 to 11 years. ADHD is linked to a higher risk of mental health issues like anxiety, depression, suicide, and personality disorders. Well, you could be seeing a robot or two during your next visit to the hospital or the doctor's office, with AI leading the charge for more robotic medical help. Fox's Eben Brown has the details in this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
We've heard a lot about the robot revolution lately, and now our automated friends are seeing more action than ever thanks to AI programming. That's prompted a push for robots in the medical field, but so far they've been used for things like transcription and disinfecting. Now one company, Enchanted Tools, has gone a step further, deploying a robotic medical assistant called Miroki. The developers say it arose out of a lack of trained medical personnel.
What we see is that we need more nurses, we need more caregivers to bring them a superb tools, something that help them to increase their productivity.
Miroki isn't designed to replace your doctor or your nurse, but it can make their jobs easier by taking on some of the logistical tasks and patient interaction. And it was designed to put patients at ease with a fox-like appearance and a character backstory.
It comes with a kind of psychological effect that we need to take in account when we are designing such machines. So that's why that was very important for me to start from scratch.
And they're already being deployed at a hospital in Montpellier, France, where they're doing everything from carrying supplies to offering emotional support for child cancer patients.
Of course, kids are like, wow, a robot. But it's not only kids.
The medical robotics industry is worth about $16 billion, and that is expected to double over the next 5 years. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Interesting. Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast. And later, President Trump's executive order aims to end birthright citizenship. How a federal judge is responding.
Well, it turned out to be a cold one for us today, but warmer than most of this week, as we did go up into lower 30s. Looks good right now. Great shot. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. Tower cam looking downtown. Northeast, light, little breeze, but overall is looking pretty good across the region. It is going to be cold tonight. We're already getting cold. 16 Iola, 21 Independence, 24 Veneta, 24 at Grand Lake. Bentonville 21, 20 in Carthage. Nevada is sitting at 16 degrees. We have this light northerly wind. It's going to be fairly light tonight. In fact, it's going to switch around out of the south tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be windy. We're going to have winds gusting 30, 35, maybe pushing a little bit higher than that. But in return, what this is going to do is pop us into the 40s. So it should be quite a bit warmer, and then the winds will calm down a little bit once we get into Saturday. A couple little clouds kind of skirting through. Besides that, not much is going on here across the Central Plains. Really, the entire lower 48. It's pretty quiet, and we're going to stay fairly quiet as we go through the next few days. Just cold tonight, 13, 14, 15 degrees. Southerly winds increase through the morning, pop into the upper 30s by noon. I think most of us during the afternoon should be 43, 44, 45 degrees, which is pretty good for late January, actually right about where we should be for this time of the year. We don't drop off much tomorrow night. We're back down near freezing, and then on Saturday, we have a lot of clouds, but still temperatures are going to go mid to upper 40s for highs. Again, pretty good. Saturday night, weak little wave skirts to our south. There may be a few sprinkles along the south of I-44. We drop back into the upper 20s, but overall, it looks pretty good. All right, so if you're heading north as we go into this weekend, oh, there we go. If you're heading north, so of course the Chiefs play on Sunday afternoon, well, Sunday evening, 5:30. But if you're tailgating, we'll be into the 30s, then we'll slide back into the upper 20s once we get into game time. So it's going to be cold, but overall the weather's going to be okay. As we get into next week, we'll start to watch our next chances to get some rain or something in here. We are going to warm up, so we're going to stay in the 40s on Monday and Tuesday. And then once we get into Wednesday, we should be closer to 50s for Wednesday into Thursday. You can see some rain starting to increase, mainly to our south. Once we get into Thursday and then Friday, eventually this wave is going to kick through. We'll just have to see what the temperature profiles are like once it gets in here, because it could give us a little bit of rain or a little bit of a wintry mix, but it doesn't look like a big deal, but that's our next system we'll start to keep our eyes on. 44 on your Friday, 46 Saturday, 40 on Sunday, back to 47 Monday, 50s Tuesday and Wednesday, and then a few showers, light wintry mix, trying to move in next Thursday and Friday.
All right. Well, I'm loving these temperatures in the 40s during the day. Like, it's so much better that we're actually going to be above freezing.
I know.
Yes.
It's going to be nice.
Yes. Good weekend ahead. Thanks, Doug. Well, coming up, a birthright battle.
A federal judge temporarily blocks the president's order to end birthright citizenship. I'm Caroline Shively in Washington. I'll have that story coming up.
Well, a judge blocks President Trump's order ending birthright citizenship, and now Republicans in Congress are writing a bill that would only grant citizenship to babies born to American citizens. Fox's Caroline Shively has details from Washington.
Obviously, we'll appeal it. President Donald Trump suffering a loss in court Thursday as a federal judge in Seattle put a temporary block on his executive order ending birthright citizenship.
This is a nationwide order. It essentially directs the United States government to take no further action in implementing the president's unconstitutional order.
Attorneys general from 22 states have sued to block the president's order to end automatic citizenship for children born in America to illegal immigrants or mothers who are temporary residents. 4 states argued in federal court Thursday that it's a right protected by the 14th Amendment.
I'd like to remind Donald Trump that the United States became the most powerful, most prosperous nation on earth, not in spite of immigrants, but because of them.
House Republicans are now entering the fight, introducing a bill similar to the president's order on Thursday.
Citizenship should be earned through a shared commitment to the values and laws of our country, not automatically granted by the mere circumstance of birth within a border.
Some legal analysts say taking away birthright citizenship is a long shot.
The Trump administration is really the underdog. The odds are strongly against it prevailing.
House Republicans sponsoring the legislation say they hope the issue reaches the Supreme Court, whose conservative justices might rule differently than the lower court. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Well, later it's a full house as some strikes are coming to a close, but workers at a major chain authorize another strike. How unionization is affecting employees and companies.
Hi.
Well, who says you can't have a green thumb in the winter? The Joplin Public Library held an event this evening featuring master gardener Eric Osen. He showed us how to create mini greenhouses out of milk jugs, a great way to start seeds for spring gardening.
Tonight we're going to send folks home with a dry mix, and we're going to ask them to saturate it well. But the containers we're using have holes drilled so they can drain out, and then there'll be enough moisture so these seeds can stay damp.
What color?
Well, attendees also enjoyed a fun craft activity with all supplies provided. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports is coming your way. A bird flu outbreak hits 2 Southwest Missouri farms supplying major egg brands. Millions of chickens are euthanized as cleanup efforts get underway. And Las Vegas hotel workers win big after months on strike, while Costco employees threaten to walk.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Newton County is dealing with its first documented bird flu outbreak in history. Birds at 2 farms owned by Opal Foods were infected. Opal Foods produces eggs for brands like Eggland's Best and Land O'Lakes. They're in the process of euthanizing all 2.6 million birds at the farm. The euthanized birds and affected eggs will be transported to a landfill in Lamar, Missouri, and then the farm will be sanitized. Cleanup and sanitation will be overseen by the USDA. They expect to be done by 2026. The administrator at the Newton County Health Department says the risk of transmitting bird flu to humans is minimal.
Employees are doing fine. We're monitoring those folks, and so far it's been a smooth operation, and they hope to be back online in about a year, I think.
He says there's a possibility egg and chicken prices will increase as a result of this latest outbreak. Well, the price of eggs is already soaring, and it's affecting restaurants and customers at the supermarket. Fox Business correspondent Jeff Flock visits a restaurant in Philadelphia that's all about eggs.
Taking you back into the kitchen today at the Green Eggs Cafe in Philadelphia. And as you might guess, with eggs in the name, these folks use a lot of eggs. And right now, they are paying a lot of green for it. Take a look at the numbers. Just in the last month, a dozen eggs went up 75%. Stephen Slaughter runs this and multiple other cafes in Philadelphia, Green Eggs. You use a lot of eggs.
We do. 90% of our menu consists of egg usage.
Yeah. And this has driven the price to you up. Are you passing it along?
We are not right now, no. We have not had any menu increase in almost 2 years now.
But some folks have been. They're charging a surcharge for the eggs on your bill.
Yeah, we have seen that, and we're trying to do everything we can to not do that.
Yeah. And in addition, of course, to the restaurants, out at the grocery store, maybe you know this better than anyone if you're watching and you've been to the grocery store lately, they're even rationing eggs. They are requiring that you only buy maybe 1 or 2 containers, and there's just not to be had some places.
Yeah, we're seeing it everywhere. We're having some difficulties getting it on our end as well. It's more the issue of the pricing than it is with anything else, though.
And these are all shell eggs. Even the ones here, maybe you see, those are scrambled eggs and egg whites, but those all come from eggs in the shell. And maybe you see, that is something that, well, it's almost looking gold, and right now it is kind of gold. That's the latest from the Green Eggs Cafe. I'm Jeff Flock with the Fox Business Network.
Well, if it looks like gas prices are rising in Missouri, you're right. According to AAA, the average gas price in the Show Me State is $2.83, a 4-cent increase in the last week and a 21-cent increase since this day last year. Fortunately, some of the lowest gas prices in the state are right here in our area. Jasper and McDonald counties are both at $2.78. Now, gas prices on average are lower for some neighboring states. Oklahoma's current average sits at $2.71, while Arkansas's average sits at $2.77. Kansas rounds out the 4 states with an average price of $2.81. Historically, colder temperatures can cause crude oil prices to fluctuate due to both changing supply and demand. Well, casino workers in Las Vegas end their longest strike in decades, and Costco workers authorize a strike. But the move to unionize is backfiring within some companies. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent Mike Emanuel has more from Washington.
Unions claim some big wins in 2024, and they're starting the new year strong. Las Vegas hotel workers ending their longest strike in decades on Wednesday, saying they won a big victory over Virgin Hotels, where about 700 employees have been walking picket lines since November. Union workers will get a 32% salary increase and better working conditions.
I was struggling. I have a brother and a little cousin that I take care of at home, and I was finding it hard to make ends meet to feed my cousin every day.
The announcement came just a few days after Costco employees voted to authorize a strike if their demands for better pay are not met. The Teamsters Union represents about 18,000 workers across 5 states, and their contract expires next Friday. Labor groups and some Democrats on Capitol Hill say they'll keep pushing back on what they say is an anti-union sentiment within the Trump administration.
You will hear how programs that have assisted for the environment or for unions should instead be replaced by programs to serve big corporations.
But on the campaign trail, President Trump painted himself as a pro-union pragmatist, saying his policies will help strengthen organized labor, especially the Teamsters.
You're going to have a lot of competition in Mexico, and that competition is not going to happen anymore.
Amazon announced Wednesday it will close its operations in Quebec, the only Canadian province where their employees are unionized. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Well, Doug is next with a complete look at your forecast, and later, homeless help.
The Homeless Coalition teams with the Salvation Army in Joplin to give the unsheltered a new beginning. I'm Lonnie Walton. I have the story coming up.
Well, of course, for us today, it was kind of cold across the region. Lower 30s for afternoon highs. Now we're dropping back into the teens. It's going to be cold tonight as we slide back to about 13 or 14 degrees, but it will get better as we get into the next couple days. Great shot to start Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, Tower Cam downtown. All right, look at our temps. 15, Yates Center 22, Veneta 20 in Pittsburgh. Anderson is sitting at 22, 17 in Stockton. The wind's a little bit breezy for us today, but they've come down a bit, at least over the past couple hours. So they're going to stay fairly light for us as we go through the overnight hours tonight. But then they're going to switch out of the south and start to increase once we get into Friday afternoon. So we're going to have winds gusting 25 to 30 miles per hour tomorrow. Come down Saturday and pick up again a little bit for us Saturday night. So breezy over the next couple days. Not a whole bunch going on. Few little clouds kind of skirting through the region, but the four-state area, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, overall pretty calm. Not a whole bunch going on. In fact, the entire lower 48 is pretty calm across the region. Let's go ahead and zoom in. So we're going to drop back into low to mid-teens, 14 Chanute, 17 in Coffeyville, Nevada 14, Anderson down to about 14 degrees. We should get into lower 30s, or actually upper 30s by noon, and I think most of us during the afternoon about 43, 44, or 45 degrees. Tomorrow night, clouds will start to increase across the region as we go into Saturday morning. But Saturday still looks pretty good as we go up to about 46, 47 degrees. There is going to be a weak system just to our south that could give us a few random sprinkles. Besides that, we stay pretty calm all the way into Sunday with overnight lows into the upper 20s. 15 to start, 37 by noon. High temp 44 on your Friday, and then Saturday 46, 40 on Sunday. We are going to have a lot of clouds all weekend long, but overall, I mean, we're in the 40s, so pretty close to where we should be for this time of the year. If you're heading north, Arrowhead Stadium, 5:30 in the evening, that's when the game kicks off against the Bills. We'll be dropping through the 30s during the afternoon if you're doing any tailgating, and then most of the game will be sitting into the upper 20s. So it will be cold, but it's going to be dry, and it won't be windy. All right, let's go into next week. So we'll see showers to our south Tuesday into Wednesday. A few of these guys may get in here by Thursday, so we're going to watch that. Eventually, the system should kick through and give us rain or a wintry mix by the time we head into Friday, but temperatures all next week are looking pretty good. All right, let's go 44 on your Friday, 46 Saturday, 40 on Sunday, 47 Monday, 54 on Tuesday. So we get into the 50s the middle of next week, and then cooling back down a bit again late next week.
I like the lows are all 20 or above, you know.
Yeah, it looks
We'll
pretty
take
good.
that.
A lot better.
All right, thanks, Doug. Well, coming up in sports, dozens of our local high school basketball teams play in tournaments across the 4 states. John Dales has all the highlights and scores up next.
Tournament week continues here in the 4 states as the Lancer Classic at Southeast High School was already into the semifinal round tonight, which pitched Riverton against New Heights. It's a Kansas-Missouri crossover game. The semifinals of the Lancer Classic, Riverton boys basketball faces New Heights Christian. Second quarter, Cougars are already up by 9. Ben Schumacher fires away and drains a triple. That stretches the lead to 12. Other end of the floor, Tyler Ritz has the answer for Riverton. He responds back with a 3 of his own. A little bit later, Rams lob it up to their big man, Derek Richardson, who finishes off the alley-oop. But then New Heights starts to catch fire. Adam Stanton uses the hook shot over a much taller defender, and he gets that to go. Then Broderick Burns uses an explosive first step to create space. He finds Stanton, who gets a friendly bounce here and connects on a long 2. Right before halftime, Burns takes a step inside the three-point line. His jump shot pure. After trailing by 16 at halftime, Riverton makes it close, but New Heights wins 72-69. The Cougars advance to the tournament championship. In that championship game, the Cougars will face Parsons. The Vikings take care of Southeast 57-45 in tonight's other semifinal. They go on to the title game. They played in it last year as well and finished as the tournament runner-up. Meanwhile, over in Frontenac, the four-state Raider Classic tips off its first round this afternoon. This one features 16 teams, 8 boys and 8 girls, many of which are from right here in the 4 states. Colgan girls basketball, undefeated, ranked number 1 in Class 2A in Kansas. Lady Panthers faced Nevada in the quarterfinals. First points of the game belonged to Colgan after Jakayla Davis hits a three-pointer from the wing. Just a couple minutes later, here's Davis again on the fast break, takes it all the way herself, gets the bucket plus the foul. She scores the first 6 points of this one. Nevada needs some points. This will help. The sophomore, Anna Swarns, nothing but net on three-pointer from the top of the key, but the Lady Tigers just really struggle to stop Davis. Here she is again, using the left hand to finish the layup this time. Scores 14 points in the first half, does Davis. Then final seconds right before halftime, Lauren O'Brien puts up a runner. It goes at the buzzer. Colgan handles Nevada 43-28. Lady Panthers go on to the semifinals tomorrow night. A little bit later on, Nevada boys basketball takes on Owensville in the opening round of the Frontenac tournament. We start in the second half. Alex Ast breaks away in transition for the layup to get things started. A few possessions later, Mason Majors lines up a three-pointer from the corner and he knocks that one down. Nevada starts to create some separation. Here's a reason why. Kellen Braden gets an open look. Long three, and that one's nothing but net. Owensville tries to get back into it. Second half, though, this was all Nevada. John Collins missed the layup, but Chet Snyder is there for the tough putback. A little bit later now, Nevada gives the ball back to their sharpshooter, Mason Majors, who drains another three. Then off the fast break, Majors takes it himself for an easy 2. Nevada moves on to the semifinals of the winner's bracket tomorrow. Tigers take this one 57-36. Late window of the Frontenac tournament, Colgan takes on the Fairgrove Eagles early on in this one. Brock Riddell posts up inside. A lot of contact here, but that basket is good. Next possession, Colgan feeds him again, and Riddell down low makes the bucket over tough defense. Good start for the Panthers, but a completely different second half. Fairgrove starts to hit a lot of threes in this one. Here's one of them. Sam Kennard drills this three ball, and Colgan's got to call a timeout. We go ahead to the fourth quarter. Panthers find a little bit of momentum. Joe Lomchek makes the floater here. A few minutes later, Brady Bettiga spins his way through traffic and he gets the layup to go down, but Fairgrove continues to use the three ball. Brock Boatwright pulls the trigger and connects there. Fairgrove goes on to beat Colgan 64-36, the final score. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
The Homeless Coalition hosted a free event at the Joplin Salvation Army this morning, offering vital support to those experiencing homelessness. Organizers say the primary purpose is to get more accurate numbers on homelessness in the area. KOAM's Lonnie Walton reports.
I was a meth addict, and I've been sober for 3.5 years now.
Jamie Bass was born and raised in Joplin. He says his meth addiction contributed to him being an unhoused individual for 15 years. He says he finally hit his breaking point.
The place that I was at before, they ended up showing up out of nowhere. And so I'm standing on this corner, and out of my mouth came, "I need your help."
Another person in need of help is Alex Coleman. She's from Loving Grace, a center Coleman says supports women in need. She has also had to face unfortunate circumstances.
I was actually living with a foster home before I moved, and the foster home wasn't the best place to be living at.
This is why Captain Bill Menendorf from the Salvation Army and Robert Smith from the Homeless Coalition put together this event to support people experiencing homelessness. They're doing it through resources and they're taking count.
We have 26 plus agencies that are all under one roof, and our gym here set up to serve individuals that are homeless, individuals that are near homeless. Having events like this to hopefully help people get a step up to get into a place, you know, it's priceless.
Surveying folks as they come in here to the Salvation Army and asking them where they slept last night.
All this is good for Coleman. She says he's on a hunt for a new job.
I had one job, but I lost it.
And for Bass, he already has a job as a peer support specialist. Although he's been in places similar to Coleman's, he says there's always hope.
You have to surrender you have to surrender to the will of God.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Well, Smith says the number of homeless individuals in Joplin increased by 50% from 2023 to 2024. Up next, a haunted house story with a twist, a high-flying action thriller, and what's new on streaming. A haunted house tale and a spy thriller are part of this week's new releases. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with what's new in theaters and streaming.
Steven Soderbergh's haunted house tale presence is in theaters. Chris Sullivan and Lucy Liu play the husband and wife of a family who move into a new home where they find they are not alone. Bringing a unique perspective to the genre, the film is shown from the point of view of the entity doing the haunting.
Like a spy. It's a big word.
There's the spy thriller Inheritance from director Neil Berger, starring Phoebe Denver as a woman who learns her father was once a spy and then finds herself at the center of an international conspiracy.
Psycho killer.
The action thriller Flight Risk stars Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Dockery. Directed by Mel Gibson, the story follows a U.S. Marshal transferring a government witness on a small plane, where tensions rise as not everyone on the flight is who they appear to be.
They knew our extraction point. Somebody gave us up.
On streaming, Netflix's spy thriller series The Night Agent returns with season 2.
What are you doing in my space station?
Paramount Plus adds the Michelle Yeoh-led movie Star Trek Section 31. While Hulu has the concert special Carrie Underwood, Reflection. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of pandas. Oh, look at these guys in China celebrating the Chinese New Year. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow.